Hi guys, welcome back to my channel, Curbex UK. Today we're in a place called Ramsbottom to see something called Grant's Tower, which is from the 1700s-ish. So it's just up there. Let's go and explore it. And also I want to say thanks for getting me to over 800 subscribers. Never thought it would happen.
Wait a second, Curbex UK, because you're actually on nearly 1,000 subscribers. So I just want to say thank you everybody for subscribing, and obviously I want to keep bringing you the videos, and I hope you're enjoying them as I bring them out. Let's get into Grant's Tower. Carry on, Curbex UK.
Thank you, and let's crack on with this then. And if you're wondering why you can hear a cockerel, there's a farm over there.
So there's Manchester. I travelled all the way through Heaton Park area, all the way down to Bury. Went through Bury, all the way up to Ramsbottom. But I couldn't just drive straight up to Ramsbottom. I had to deviate from the main road and go up. It's still a public road, but it's just not very well maintained and it's potholey and stuff. And I had to go, I think I'm going to show you in a sec, there you go. I had to go this way on a motorbike, and it was the most uncomfortable thing I've done in a while. But now, I'm going to show you this place, Grant's Tower, which sits on top of a hill. I'm going to show you that now. I'm going to switch it from this map view into the aerial view, so you'll get a bit of an idea of where we are, being indicated by the pin marker. Let me zoom in a bit more. There you go, that's where our video is going to be about today. So let's get into it. And if I've not already mentioned, it is on a public footpath, so if you do want to go there yourself, you can do, and you can go and have a look at Grant's Tower. But anyway, let's walk up this old track.
Okay, so there's a few reasons I wanted to bring you here. It's because I used to come here as a kid, and there's not really too much about it online. Sorry about the barking. There's also a kennels just down there. But yeah, so like I was saying, I used to come here as a kid, and there's a corking view. See behind me there, the sun's beaming today. I think it's been like 23 degrees, 24 degrees today in Manchester and surrounding areas. But anyway, back to this. Yeah, I used to come here as a kid and hang out and just admire the view, because you can see Peel Tower from Grant's Tower. And I'm also going to tell you the history behind it, because when I read it, I was probably in like just as much in like, you know, sort of kind of intrigued. So I thought if I told you lot, then maybe you'd also feel the same way about this place, because it's a really, really cool place and a great little story. They put like a radio or a broadcasting mast next to the site as well. Where we're going is further up this path, but yeah, this is some sort of telecommunications, some sort of system like that. But yeah, I remember when I came up here, it's always been here, this I think. Like, they built it recently, but it's been here since I was like maybe 16, 17. Just bloody hell, it's so warm today. Just have a little look behind me there. See the sun? Can't even see my face now because it's that sunny. So, some sort of electrical or broadcasting or something like that. I'm not too sure, I'm not an expert. But anyway, we're nearly at Grant's Tower now anyway, so I'll probably get back to you when I'm going through the turnstile to go to Grant's Tower. Okay guys, so here we are, we're at Grant's Tower. If you're wondering why it looks a bit like a building site, I'll explain that later on as we go through the video. Some absolute brilliant views you can see of Bury, and I think you can just about make out Manchester's skyscrapers from here. I don't know if you can see it on the camera, but I can see it anyway. So what I'm going to do, I'll probably switch to some shots from my drone, and I'll probably show you the actual area as well. I'll probably do a bit of voiceover in that. I know I say a lot, sorry about that. It's just, I don't know, it's just when you're trying to think of what to say on this type of thing. Okay, so, right, yeah. show you some drone shots, I'll show you the area, and then I'm going to explain the history of this place and why it's important and what its link is with Manchester city centre, or that area anyway. So let's switch to them clips now. Alright guys, so let's get the drone. Why do I always say alright guys? I'm sorry if you find the stuff I say annoying. It bloody annoys me. Anyway, we're going to get the drone up in the air now, so let's do it. Ready? We have liftoff. Right, I'll show you these shots now. So there you have it, Grant's Tower. I've probably just shown you some clips from the drone and stuff, and probably done a little bit of voiceover about this place. But now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to give you a quick little tour around it, okay? So you've got, I'll explain as well why there's a front door on it and everything later on. But so you've got the entrance hall there, okay? You can see that, there's a bit of a better angle for you. That's the entrance hall. Then what we want to do is we want to walk around the side. Now it did used to have floors and was a lot bigger than this, but I'll tell you more about that as well when I sit down and tell you the history. There's one angle, another angle of it, sorry. So some ruins, like this bit's sort of a balcony, I'll show you that later on. This is the back area here, where I presume, I'll just tell you, someone's restoring it now. So that's why it's in this sort of semi-built state, but it is an old building from the 1700s. So this is the back section, as you can see, building site looking. Rubble everywhere. Right, let's go and have a seat on the balcony and I'll read. I've got like a little script, not a script, but like a bit of history that I've wrote down on my phone, which I'm going to read to you. That's better. Right, so let me take you inside Grant's Tower. Here we go. Alright, so now we're inside Grant's Tower. What I'm going to do, as I said outside, I'm going to tell you the history of this place and its link to Manchester. So let's crack on. So guys, like I've been saying, it's Grant's Tower. It's in a place called Walmsley, which is, it's sort of in between Ramsbottom and Bury. I've managed to pick one of the sunniest days of the year probably so far. So it's windy up here. What I've got to tell you about this place, I've written it down on my phone because I can't remember everything, you know what I mean? So I'm going to read it to you off my phone, so I'm not being ignorant by not looking at the camera or anything like that, so I'll just get straight into it now, shall I? Grant's Tower is built at top of the Hoof in Ramsbottom. It stands on the spot where the Grant family are said to have first looked down on the Irwell Valley on their arrival in 1783. They had embarked on an epic trek in search of work from Maryshire in Scotland all the way down to Lancashire. The tower they built is a well-known local landmark, but in recent times it was about to fall into an absolute ruin. However, it has just had a last-minute saviour, if you like. Someone's decided, that's why there's a new roof on it and stuff, someone's decided to restore this little building, which is good because, you know, it's keeping this little bit of history going. So let's carry on, shall we? The family set up the firm William Grant and Brothers sometime around 1800s and became a very successful calico printing business. That's how it links with Manchester. Mayfield Station, that was a calico printers before it was a train station. So I just wanted to add that in, but yeah, I was quite happy when I read that. I was like, wow, this guy had mills everywhere. The four brothers, William, Daniel, Charles and John, were all involved in the running of the firm. In 1806 they bought Peel, Yates and Co. Printworks, owned by the future Prime Minister, Robert Peel. And the way Robert Peel ties into it is, from the window there you can actually see Peel Tower. And obviously Robert Peel was the Prime Minister, and I'm sure he had something to do with the invention of the police. Anyway, so it was owned by the future Prime Minister, Robert Peel. Well, it was going to be. Or it was owned by the future Prime Minister Robert Peel. Anyway, and just 6 years later purchased Nuttall Spinning Factory, which they extended. They also had a warehouse on Cannon Street in Manchester. By 1827 they had accrued enough money to buy the Park Estate on which they could construct Grant's Tower. Here are the facts. It was built in 1829. 50 feet high, 800 feet above sea level, 4 flights of stairs, 84 individual steps, 8 turrets at the top, 2 of which they were disguised as chimneys for fireplaces below. The day the tower opened, there was a fair-like atmosphere, apparently, from what I've read, or from what I'm reading, with their employees given the day off. Refreshments were laid on, and entertainment took the form of races, games and singing. From then on, the tower was regularly opened on Good Friday and other special holidays, and I'm filming this today on Easter Sunday. That's why I've sort of done it, because it sort of ties in with Easter. In 1838 Charles Dickens published the novel Nicholas Nickleby. In the book there are 2 characters called the Cheeryble brothers, good-hearted and kind employers of Nicholas. There has long been speculation that they were based on William and Daniel Grant. It could be nice to think that these local factory owners were like the Cheerybles in, well, you know, a noble nature, an unbound benevolence, in a time when so many owners of factories and mills and stuff were fairly ruthless exploiters of the people that they employed. The tower has also been lived in as a house in the 1850s. The steeplejack James Wright stayed there with his family. He had a unique method of setting up his ropes, and that did not involve ladders or scaffold, but by flying a kite in order to fix them to the top. It was said that he could descend his ropes at 100 miles an hour. Something of a showman, his perilous drops would draw large appreciative crowds. I said clouds, I mean crowds, sorry. He was much in demand, not just nationally, but as far afield as Belgium and America. Perhaps our most famous Lancashire steeplejack, Fred Dibner, would have something to say about that and his methods. So I've just had to move because the sun was absolutely roasting me. Anyway, back to the story. In 1880 it was lived in by the family of Mr. Nightingale, a forester who worked for the Grants. After a severe storm one night, they thought it would collapse, and so were forced to abandon it and not to return. The last person to live there was Edwin Wu, or Wow. That's very W-A-U-G-H. Is that Wu or Wow? I'm not too sure. Bloody hell. Anyway, he was a dialect poet, sometimes referred to as the Lancashire Robert Burns. Whilst convalescing from illness at the Tower, it is claimed that he wrote the Little Cattle, Little Care with the refrain. Here's a little snippet of it. We never owned a yard of ground, we'n little wealth in hand, but thee and me can sleep as sound as the richest folk in the land. Now, I didn't pronounce it's written in old language, so it's quite hard to read out, but that's the gist of it. So he was basically, after all them people lived there, he was a poet, moved in and decided, he thought that because of the property he had, that he was one of the richest in the land, sort of. Anyway, by 1914 it was in need of restoration, and so a fund was set up by the local farm at the top of the hoof. By then the local farm at the top of the hoof had become a pub called the Tower Inn, and no doubt Grant's Tower was still a draw. It was used by the Home Guard during the Second World War as a lookout point, but during the war years the council closed it as it badly needed repairs. They also entered into negotiations with Peter Grant Lawson to buy it. This was all in vain, because on the 21st September 1944 the tower suddenly collapsed. No efforts were made to restore it, and so it has laid falling apart basically for decades. Just decades of it sat here absolutely just, well, decaying. So it's quite a sad story really, as well as the start of it being quite a good story. It was owned by a nice sort of spinning mill calico printers, or you know, factory worker. No, sorry, not factory worker. It was owned by like basically someone who owned a factory, like calico printing. We were a printing family, so it was a printing family that owned it. Now, however, someone called Mr. Buckley has bought this site. Sorry, not bought it. He's the owner, sorry, and he's decided that he's going to restore the building with the aim to make it a partial but unstable ruin. So I guess he wants to try and keep the, you know, decaying vibe going, but also use it as a premises to live in maybe, or something. Much of the stonework on the site has been sorted, cleaned and put back into place at the ground floor level. This has been repointed and the windows restored on the front and side. There will now be only one ground floor room, and this has had a new zinc roof to cover it, basically to prevent obviously the weather getting in and stuff like that. I'm so sorry that I'm having to read it off my phone, but it's just my memory's shocking, so that's why I'm having to do it off my phone. Obviously apologies, I know you'd probably rather me just stand here and talk to you, but it's easier for me to just read it off my phone because I'm not a professional, you know what I mean? Okay, let's have a look what else have we got about it here. In the sole remaining room, a wood-burning stove will be fitted to the pre-existing fireplace. The original flag floors have been restored. The original staircase has been repaired leading up to the first floor. Although this was all presumably be for the owner's private use, Grant's Tower is on the public footpath. So, you know, it's on a public footpath. People like me can come here, just come up here, make a little video, have a look at it, you know, appreciate it, and then shoot off. But yeah, so it is now technically privately owned, you know what I mean? That's the majority of the information I've got to say. There's one final bit that I need to tell you about. This place is almost like a little fort, if you want. I think they built it here as well, just like Peel Tower, because it's a great defensive position to have, like especially if you're going to have enemies, because obviously they were quite wealthy in the end, so they obviously needed to protect the wealth. And I guess we'll never know what its true purpose was, but I think it's something to do with that. First of all, I want to say thank you for getting me to over 800 subscribers. To be honest, when I started doing this, I didn't think I'd get 8, 9, anything like that. But yeah, so thanks for getting us to that milestone. I also want to say this has been Grant's Tower. I hope the story, you were sort of able to follow it. It's a good story. I'll probably put a link in the description if you want to read about it yourself. Go on to lancashirepost.co.uk and have a look. Just type it in Google Grant's Tower history, and you'll come up with everything I've told you today. But yeah, I hope you enjoyed the video. If you could give us a like, a comment, a share, a subscribe, that's great. Thanks for helping me out, and I hope you have enjoyed the video. I've had fun showing you somewhere that I used to come as a kid, and as well it had a link to Manchester, didn't it, with the calico printing with the cloth. So thanks guys, and I'll see you in my next video. Also, check out my Instagram. All my pictures from all my explores are on there, at CurbXUK. And I will, like I just said, I'll see you in the next one, guys. Bye! And everybody's watching her, but she's